Less than 6 months ago, NIO, electric car manufacturer, unveiled the new ET5 and the ES7. The ET5 is the Tesla Model 3 fighter. It's the most affordable car that NIO have ever produced. It's very, very good. More expensive than a Tesla Model 3, but you can see why analysts said it would save the car company. Then they unveiled the ES7. It is a competitor to the Tesla Model Y. Bit bigger, bit nicer, but more expensive as well. ET5 sales were doing very, very well, comprising 60% of the company's sales over the past 4 months since it was unveiled. Now, all of a sudden, demand appears to have completely collapsed. And considering NIO is spending billions, this appears to be a very big problem that the media have not alerted anyone to. When I first noticed this, I went, this is bad. Okay, this is bad for NIO. This is worse than I thought. And then I did a bit more research and realized it's a lot worse than I thought. This vehicle represents 60% of NIO's sales this year, 60%. And pre-orders seem to have dropped to virtually zero. Apparently Tesla has a big problem with pre-orders, but no one is pointing out what is the real elephant in the room. My friends, this is actually sad because it's a brilliant car. It's a brilliant car and nobody is buying it. Hello and welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. We've had about 7,000 new subscribers over the last couple of weeks. If you're one of those new subscribers and you're watching now, make sure you check out some of the 3,000 videos that we've put out over the past 22 or 23 months. There's a lot of content there. A lot of information about NIO, which no one else really talks about. BYD as well. The Chinese electric car market, it's quite interesting. In fact, it's not quite interesting. It's fascinating because it's disrupting the West right now, for good and for bad. But anyway, that's happening, and the only place you really find videos about that disruption is here on this channel. There's plenty of other channels that show you the cars and tell you all the wonderful things about them, all the wonderful things, not the bad things, just the wonderful things. But here I try to give you a balanced perspective of what's really going on. Tesla has, according to Troy Tesla and all these other so-called experts, apparently their demand is going down, collapsing. I'm seeing a lot of comments though. This is the big problem that I have with this information. A lot of people in the comments saying, that's funny, I live in that country and I have an order for that car and it's 3 months away. Why is there only 2 months of pre-order, back orders in that country? I know that's only anecdotal information. You probably think, well, take it with a grain of salt. But the thing is, if you see more than 100 comments from different places, people saying, that's strange that you're saying, there's only enough orders for Tesla for say 2 or 3 weeks in that country, but then my pre-order is 2-3 months and it's being delayed more and more and more. Why is it? I mean, it just seems a bit weird that that's happening. The other thing that seems weird is this. Everyone's saying Tesla has a big demand problem, right? They're saying, things are going bad for them this year, so they're having to reduce prices. It is true they have had to reduce prices to increase demand, commensurate though with an increase in supply. Keep that in mind. They have delivered a lot more cars this quarter versus the same quarter last year, in fact nearly double. But on the other hand, we're all ignoring what's actually going on in China, and that is companies such as BYD, Nio Xpeng and others are very dependent and reliant on the Chinese car market. More than 95% of their cars are still sold in China. They're moving away from that. NIO, for example, just started selling 2 weeks ago cars in Norway, the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, and I believe 2 or 3 other countries as well. Price though, not cheap. I first saw the price of NIO's new ET5, and that's the car that represents 60% of the company's sales this year. 60% one model. People are saying, Tesla, the problem with Tesla, you hear that over and over and over, the problem is they only have 2 models. It's true, Model 3, Model Y, and that is a challenge. It will be in the future a challenge until they're able to bring more models out, for sure. But if you only have 2 models, but those models are selling really well, it's a lot better than having 7 models and only one of them is selling well, and then all of a sudden, it's not selling well. That's worse, right? Yeah. So far this year, more than 60% of NIO's vehicles that they've sold have been the ET5. The ET5's just gone on sale in Europe. Very good car. Brilliant car. I'd love to own one. It's a sedan. I don't think it'll sell well because it's a sedan. I mean, look at the Model 3 sales this year. People want SUVs. They want crossovers, things like that. Sedans and expensive ones don't sell so well. And when I first saw the price of the ET5, I thought, this is great. $46,000. They've just reduced the price. NIO just reduced the price, by the way, a few days ago. The price was going to be $50,000. They reduced it down to about $47,000 before it's gone on sale. But then I realized it doesn't come with a battery. It doesn't come with a battery. I mean, there are so many options. There's battery subscription, there's battery purchase, there's leasing, there's different sizes, there's different models. If I walked into a NIO dealership, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't. I'm a pretty decisive person. I mean, I have to decide every day which videos I'm going to make, which ones I'm going to share with you, which stories I want to make, and which ones matter the most. I've got to be decisive on that. If I'm not decisive, I'm going to sit around here and just do nothing. I've got to be decisive. But with NIO and their products, there's a lot of models. There's a lot of options, and they are unquestionably confusing. There's no other way to put it. Now, the ET5, if you walked into a dealership and they said, hey, you can get this cheapest model variant, the cheapest variant, it's our new car, it's $47,000, but it doesn't come with a battery pack, you wouldn't know what to do. You'd be like, oh, what does that mean? It's a whole new paradigm. So NIO's got to sell you into a whole new paradigm of understanding how the system works. Now, it's actually a pretty cool system that you can drive into a battery swapping station and just get a battery pack swapped. It's about 2.5 minutes. That's awesome. There's not a lot of swapping stations in Europe. Yeah. So maybe NIO should have just started off with saying, hey, the battery is part of the car. This is the price. What this means though, is that once you paid for the battery, it's way more expensive than a Tesla Model 3. In fact, it's about 30% more expensive, and it's a new brand. It's a brand that most people in Europe have never heard of. Even though it actually won Best Electric Car in Germany last year, no one's ever heard of them. That's the truth. The problem is this. NIO is in trouble, big trouble. NIO has been saying, right, that its ET5 is the most important car for the company. It actually released the car to the market in October of last year. Since then, sales climbed. It's represented 60% of all sales for the company. One model. Lot like the Model Y, in fact. One model, about 60%. Tesla's in the same position as NIO here. But the difference is Tesla still does have, well, we know at least 100,000 pre-orders. NIO, on the other hand, has 0. Now, maybe not 0, but they have 2 weeks. If you place an order now, it takes 2 weeks to get one. Why does it take 2 weeks? Well, the truth is, NIO doesn't mass manufacture cars the way Tesla does. Tesla just puts them through. It says, okay, we know we sell approximately this many white cars, approximately this many black cars, approximately this many blue cars, so we'll make this many. And they keep on doing that. This is what Tesla does. It's basically like batch manufacturing. It enables them to manufacture cars at a much lower price. NIO does not do that. They manufacture to order. You place your order, then they'll go through and make the car. That's why you can choose from one of 677,000 different colors. And there's not that many colors, but there's a lot more choice than Tesla colors. A lot more choice of options. There's way more choice. If you look at the options on a Tesla, right, on a Model Y, the number of colors, the number of battery types, compare that to a NIO vehicle, it's like comparing a Rolls Royce to a budget car. I mean, Tesla doesn't have very many options. NIO has 1 million. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a good thing because I wouldn't know what to get. I wouldn't know what to not get. There's too many for me. Too many choices is a bad thing in my opinion. But a lot of people love this. But at the same time, it's very expensive. That's why NIO's not making profit. Because once you actually basically hand make a car to order, it costs a lot more to make. Now the thing is, now we know their brand new car, meant to be their mass market car, the cheapest car they've ever made, it has 2 weeks of backlog, which is nothing. Meaning, it's possible they're just taking orders by the day and they don't have any pre-orders at all. We don't know. I mean, they could have 50, they could have, maybe a couple, maybe 100, but they wouldn't have any more than a couple of hundred because otherwise that pre-order time would be more than 2 weeks because it takes them 2 weeks to make a car. So we've seen that pre-order time go down over the last 3 months for NIO with the ET5. It was originally about, I think 3 months. Then it came down to 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks. A few weeks ago, it was 3 weeks. Now it's gone down to 2 weeks. In other words, it's built to order. You order it now and you could be first off the line. There's no way of knowing. My point here is NIO is on a spending spree. They're spending like a drug addict in a drugstore, essentially. Like the store is running out of drugs and they need to get all of them. That's what they're doing. They're building NIO houses all over the place. They are very, very expensive. They're building swapping stations all over the place. They have more than 1,000 of these swapping stations. Infrastructure upon infrastructure. In addition to that, they just said they're releasing their new automated driving, fully designed in-house full self-driving stack, right? That is not cheap to do that for a small car company. All of this wouldn't be an issue if they had billions in revenue coming from, say, something else, selling batteries like BYD or doing something else, but they do not. Instead of that, most of the cars made by NIO are not in fact made by NIO. They are made by JAC, their partner, who manufactures cars to order, a little bit like Magna Steyr in Austria. right? So NIO then has a middleman. The middleman needs to make their money, right? And then NIO needs to sell it to you. Plus, while they're doing that, they're designing a new model every few months. They have 7 models. In fact, they have 8 models until they just discontinued one of them about a month or 2 ago. That's a lot of models for a small car company. And considering NIO are only selling around 10,000 cars every single month, well, I personally would be very wary if I was holding their stock. I sold all of my stock around 3 or 4 months ago, and I'll let you guys know why I did it and when I did it. Some people thought I was crazy. They said I did the wrong thing. NIO's great. And others said that was the right call to make. Well, now, after hearing NIO's CEO continue to critique Tesla on their downfalls, in spite of the fact that Tesla is actually a profitable car company, which will be in business in 10 years' time, NIO, on the other hand, may not be. I have to say I'm very concerned about the cognitive abilities of some of the executives in this car company. But more than that, the ET5, it's a brilliant car. The sales model is complicated. It's hard to understand, and there's a good reason why NIO's sales are going down now. And there's a good reason why NIO's sales have barely moved for many, many months. Why the company has seemed to enter a period of what you might call stagnation, when everyone thought growth was inevitable, that this would be a great growth story, but it's not. NIO appears to have 0 or not many pre-orders for the ET5. And considering that car makes up 60% of its car sales this year, that is a far bigger story than anything we can say about Tesla. Why is the media ignoring this? Well, I'll tell you why. They don't even know what's going on. They pay no attention and simply regurgitate articles they read from someone else. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.